Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
If you've been waiting for a week of barbecue talk from the Barbecue Central Show, then this is the week for you. It's Monday. We're having a chat with the guy that won both sides of the American Royal a week ago. Never been done before. Invitational Grand Champ, and then turned around and Open Grand Champ. We've had a number of people that have won one side or the other, or somebody that has won both, but not in the same year. So it's history making, and we're happy to get some time with the pitmaster of QU. We race to the hotline and welcome in Grant Basilere. Grant, how are you?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me.
I'm excited to have you, and I know I'm not the first one to grab the podcast here, but hopefully I'm going to be asking much more professional and insightful questions than the ones you're at. Now you're a seasoned professional at podcasting. I know when I had reached out Sunday, you had said, I've never even done one, maybe never had even listened to one, so now we're all on the same page. We're both pros, and we're ready to rock and roll here. So before we talk about the actual event itself, which we're going to spend a lot of time on because it's very history-making, which is great. A little background on you, how old you are, what you might do for a living, unless it's full-time barbecue, which would be great if it was, but I don't think anybody really does that anymore, and where you're currently stationed at.
Yeah, absolutely. So just turned 40 in July. I am out in Gurnee, Illinois, about 30 miles north of Chicago. I'm the executive chef at Uline Shipping Supplies, and that's in Pleasant Prairie, about 15 minutes up the road from me. And I've been doing that for the past 8 years. Previously, I did restaurants, hotels, country clubs, and I've been doing that for about 25 years. So that's my story, and that's where we're at.
Grant, when you were growing up, were you from a house that was a cooking household, or is that a passion that you had developed a little later?
No, definitely cooking household. Summertime, grilling with the folks, mom, dad, Weber grills, chicken thighs, chicken legs, burgers, dogs. Not slow cooking ribs or pork shoulders or anything like that. I'm from Central PA, so it's not really in our repertoire there in Central PA, but definitely got to know a grill early in life and stuck with it. So that's about it.
So it sounds like professionally you have been cooking. Are you a classically trained chef, or did you go to one of the big food schools in order to further that education?
Yeah, I went to school out in Pittsburgh. Did internships out in Colorado. Did the country club scene, did the hotel scene. One of my best friends who I still work for today, Todd Stoner, I started working with him about 16 years ago, and he is a seasoned vet. He's worked everywhere. He's done Napa, Charlotte, Atlanta. And we were doing classic, sauces, stocks, the whole nine. But we were doing a lot of fusion stuff, a lot of local, when that local thing was kind of hitting the scene about 15 years ago, and farm to table. So we've done it all, and we've concentrated on getting really good product and taking care of it.
What's the food scene like where you're at?
It's not much where I'm at. I mean, you get to Chicago, that's a huge food hub.
Yeah,
it's awesome. We used to go when I worked in a country club 8 years ago. We'd have Mondays off, and me and my wife, we would go down there on Mondays and just kind of, miss the crowds and, go restaurant hopping. These days, don't get down there as much that I'd like, but still involved. I know what's hip and what's trending, but we definitely don't go out to eat as much as we used to.
What's your favorite place down in Chicago?
Avec, that whole team that does Avec, Publican. They do a taco joint. It's been there. Gosh, it's probably been there. Avec's probably been there for 20 years. Oh. That restaurant group does a really, really good job. If we have to if we don't know where we want to go, we got to pick a spot. It's definitely Avec.
You ever been to Billy Goat?
Yeah, I've been to the Goat. When they first opened up, we did that a couple times. I don't know Billy Goat. Is that another side project that she has right now?
Am I saying that right? Is it the Billy Goat?
Girl and the Goat.
Oh no!
Oh, are you talking about the old hamburger spot?
Yes, cheeseburger.
No, my bad. I thought, I have not been to the Billy Goat. No,
Well, you got to
No.
go. I mean, that's like an historical part of Chicago's culinary scene. It's also like under a bridge, which is really weird. And you walk in and you got to step down into it. It's in many
Totally.
respects, it's quite breathtaking for what ends up being, an average cheeseburger. But it's more of the ambiance sometimes.
Oh, I get it. I know the skit well, and I'm kind of mad at myself. I haven't been down there. So,
What about Au Cheval? Have you been to Au Cheval and had their burgers?
no, no.
Oh, now that is so unlike the Billy Goat, which is the about average cheeseburger. The Au Cheval is leveled up. It's incredible with the fried egg or the over easy egg, but their bacon is incredible. The burger blend is, I mean, the whole scene was crazy, and I feel like I was just happened to be lucky enough to get in when there was no line, because all I ever heard about before I hit up there was get there early because you're going to wait. And it was the Sunday morning-ish, like 10:30, and they just happened to be open. And I strolled in, got a seat because I was just by myself at the bar and had one of the best cheeseburgers I ever had. So 2 places, just in case you get back down to Chicago soon, you can check out.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
So how do you get involved, or how are you introduced to competition barbecue, and when does that start?
So 2010, we were doing private events, and I worked with Johnny Trigg. I worked with Tuffy Stone. We were doing these private barbecue events up here. So I got lucky enough to work with them a couple different times, and to see how they worked in the kitchen and see how they treated product and everything else. Great guys, unbelievable guys. And then, but the competition side didn't start until about 7 years later, when I got my job at Uline, because I had weekends off. Previously, I never had weekends off, and there was a local event in Kenosha, and somebody brought it up, and I'm like, you know what, screw it, let's go out there, and I to be honest with you, I checked out YouTube videos on competition barbecue, and we got some drums, we went out there and we cooked and fell in love, and then it just really hasn't stopped then. So 17 was our first competition year.
So we're looking at roughly year 5 to some degree. How many events are you doing a year?
So when we first started, we did 4, and then I think we went into maybe 8 or 10, and then we hit it. We hit a good stride. I think the most we've done is 18, but then I had my sons. We broke it down to 5, and then this year we're at 10 right now. So 10 to 12 is a total manageable number that I would love to do and continue on doing.
Is it mostly regional stuff, or will you get out and stretch it out a little bit for miles?
It would be great if it would stay regional. We've lost a lot of competitions. I think competitions in Illinois has cut in half, even Wisconsin. So that's our main hub is throughout the whole state of Illinois and Wisconsin. But we have Indiana we can shoot over to. I've done Michigan once. We've done the Invitational out in Kansas. But yeah, I mean, anything over 5 hours is pushing it. It's just it's a little too much for me. But I love our local ones, and I hope to continue doing them.
Let me ask you, as somebody that would rather stay regional or regional-esque if possible, and then you follow that up by saying there's a lot of events that have canceled or just gone away in your particular area, and that's not unlike a lot of other regions across the country, especially on the west side. California has seen a horrific decline in the number of events that are going on there, and that used to be a hub of activity. People started talking about there's going to be a California style of barbecue, and then it is really wasted away, and now you're seeing similar effects there in Illinois. What can be done to fix that? What can be done to reinvigorate the interest or bring back competitions?
That's a great question, because I know out here, I mean, we were having, like, the one I'm doing this weekend. It's the Pumpkin Chunk in Union Grove, and I think this might be the 10th year they're doing. And it kind of falls on the same week as the Jack, so I think we lost a couple teams there. But still, I mean, the popularity and people want to do it and go out and compete. We have teams for sure. As far as getting these events together, I have no idea. I don't know that side of the competition, and it's too bad to see. But hopefully we'll bounce back and get more competitions.
Let's go ahead and take a look at last week as we make our way through both sides here, Grant. First one, obviously, is the Invitational, and this one is a little different than it would normally be because I think they were Were they reaching back to 2018 to allow GCs from 2018 to present day in order to take part in the Invitational?
Yeah, I heard 18 or 19.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not 100% sure.
Are you good with that?
Yeah, I mean, why not? Let's do it. Let's bring everybody out. It was fun. The Invitational was a blast. I got to see a lot of people that I know, and we cooked together all the time. And yeah, why not? I don't know. I don't think moving forward they're going to do anything like that. But yeah, it was a big party. I loved it. It was awesome.
When you're getting ready for the Invitational, are you showing up like the day before, or are you there multiple days in advance?
No, well, talking to people, we were. It was about an 8-hour drive, so I wanted to get out there on Wednesday just to kind of get set up. I didn't understand the scale or the size of this competition. When I heard there was 500 teams, I got a little nervous about getting in, getting out, and getting my stuff set up. But it couldn't have been easier. That's for sure. We got out there Wednesday night. We hung out all day Thursday, which I really enjoyed. I got to go down to downtown Kansas City, do some breweries, do a restaurant. Really enjoyed myself on Thursday. And then Friday, it was game on, like showing up to a regular old weekend competition.
How does the cook go for you? Business as usual? You run into anything that you had to contend with that you didn't plan on?
No, it was automatic pilot. I got lucky. No hiccups. Nothing. Both day 1 and 2. So I was very lucky with that, and it was smooth sailing. It was quite enjoyable.
And you're a drum cooker guy?
Yep.
Solely drums?
Yeah. That's I cook. I have a stick burner at my house, and I've messed around with it at a couple different competitions, but no, just pretty much strictly drums.
Do you have a particular brand that you're partial to?
We just use the gateways. Mm-hmm. So,
from a flavor profile standpoint, I've long argued I don't compete, but I have had several offsets in my backyard. I've got several pellet cookers. I've got drums and all the stuff in between. And for my money, it seems the best flavor profile that I get is when I have the time to do it on the stick burner. When I look at competitions now and over the last maybe 10 years even, it's wild how quickly time flies. I keep hearing more and more that the drum smoker is the one that is giving, I don't want to say a unique flavor profile, but it seems to be ones that either the cooks like, and then obviously it's being replicated in the judging tent, because when you look at some of the top teams out there, at least on the competition side, they're using drums, or at least part of their arsenal is drum cookers.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy the flavor that I'm getting out of a drum. I enjoy balancing that out with some wraps or some finishing kind of sauces or seasonings. I try to hit that kind of middle ground of seasonings. I'm not really too aggressive in any kind of category that I either season or inject or sauce. I mean, one of the injections that I use, I pretty much just use the recipe on the side of the bottle. Flavor profiles coming off that in comparison to stick burners. We've always had that conversation. We're barbecue guys that overthink everything. You get over into Indiana where it's outlaw country, stick burners. And you show up and there's 40 contestants and there's only 2 drum cookers. Drums really don't seem to do as well. I don't know. You're probably overthinking it. I know I do, but it's something to think about. Something that we discuss all the time, and it's fun.
From a meat standpoint, are you specialty meat guy? Like, do you have to be Wagyu briskets and Duroc porks and smart chickens and all that, or are you more commodities?
It's a little bit of both. Nobody can mess around with Wagyu, brisket. It's wonderful. The fat and everything, the moisture that you get out of it. But yeah, everything else is kind of right down the middle. It depends on what you're looking at. I definitely look at the meats and it's a tough question. It's what's available at the time and what I can get my hands on.
As you are going through the turn-ins on Saturday there for the Invitational, are you pretty happy with everything that you're turning in? Do you feel like it might be an award-winning day, or do you not necessarily? You can be happy with turn-ins, but you don't also go to this day we will GC.
No, I mean we've had a hell of a run our past 10, 15 cooks. So you just kind of trust those timelines. We came into the weekend with great product, and we had the cook that we've been cooking the past 10, 15 cooks. Put it in the box and it's kind of out of your hands. I thought we hit tenderness both days. I felt like day 2 was I like the product going in the box day two, especially chicken, which we didn't do as well day two. But I thought ribs were better, and I thought pork and brisket were about the same. But you don't really know what you're getting yourself into when you go to awards. I mean, you cross your fingers like everybody else, and you hope for the best.
When reserve is called, do you think you've had a good enough cook to where you're going to hear your name last? Or if you don't hear it second to last, you think you might have finished out of the winnings altogether?
So day one for sure, because we had a great cook and we had the two 180s in pork and brisket.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sitting with really good friends of mine, the barbecue bus, and we're sitting there and it's just counting down. And I had them locked in. I had 3 awesome calls. And then the bus got the third call. So I was like, man, you know what? I mean, 2 180 calls.
Yeah.
It's close, but flip a coin, reserve or grand, or who knows? You'd never know. But we were buddies were sitting next to me, and I was, just tell them to just don't say anything. And the cameras were out recording me, and I thought they were going to jinx the hell out of me. But we crossed our fingers. It hit, which was awesome. That's not the same as day two. Day two, we won ribs, which was awesome. That was incredible. And then we placed in brisket, I think 12th or 14th. And then they did, I can't remember if they did 20 or 25 countdown.
Ugh.
And they just kept on counting down. And then when I was like, we're playing with house money. Day one, we win out of nowhere, which is amazing. If we place, like I talked to my wife the night before, and I was like, what's the expectation? Yeah, top 100, top 50 out of this field. I mean, that'd be incredible. That's
Sure.
a win. And when they got down to 5, I was like, oh, I got bumped. It was good. I was so happy with the first place rib and the brisket call. But then my buddy next to me, Eric from Big E, he was like, it's possible, And when they called it, it was just pure shock. It still hasn't really set in.
On the invitational side, you get the call for grand champion. And this is an event where everybody's won. You've won to obviously qualify. Everybody else there competing has won at least once within some calendar year that they were allowing that window to show up and take part in here in 2022. What is the feeling like to know that at least on this day against that field, all winners, that you've bested everybody?
Oh, there's just so many good cooks out there, and a couple of them I cook, against all the time. So it's the same guys that I see every other weekend. And that was last year at the Invitational out in Kansas. We came in 7th overall, and that's when it kind of clicked. Is like, yeah, I can totally hang with the big boys. With a little help from some judges' tables and just having good product and just trusting your timelines. You're there to compete and you want to win. So. It was pretty cool. I mean, that's a huge field, 250 or 249, whatever it was, of that many great cooks. It was a huge honor, and I'm very, very lucky and fortunate.
Yeah, I mean, typically that's 120 to 130 more teams on the invitational side than you would actually go up against. I think routinely it's in that 120 to 125 range, but that's what happens when you're reaching back, 3-4 years and allowing those people to come in and cook. So even more of an impressive feat, I think, considering the amount of teams that are in there. What's the check to win that?
The check, the overall, the cash prize, and
for winning the invitational. Yeah,
it was $12,000.
That's a nice payday there.
It's a very nice payday.
Yeah. Then you are in the midst of elation, in the midst of having your mind blown because now you're the grand champion of the invitational, which is an incredible achievement. If you were going to hang them up in 5 years and that's the only thing that you've won, over those last 5 years, you can always say you were the invitational champ in 2022. But now you're setting up to go open side. So how much do you allow yourself to celebrate the victory, and then you got to pack it up and go back into competition mode for what many consider to be a roulette of barbecue competition with that open, because now you're 500 teams, as you had mentioned a couple minutes ago.
Oh, we partied absolutely Saturday night. We a buddy of mine that I went down with because my wife wasn't able to come. A good friend of mine that I work with, great friend that I work with. That was his first KCBS competition he's ever done. So Saturday night, everybody else kind of goes back because they're business as usual. They want to get their head down and wake up feeling great and have a great cook Sunday. in my head, I was like, I want to have drinks and I want to listen to loud music and I want to just enjoy this moment. And that's what we did. So we went back to where I was parked out there in the 900 section. We had multiple cocktails, drinks. We had an awesome time. At some point, I said I have to get to bed. Funny thing is my air mattress wasn't working at the time, so I went up to the RV lot or the I can't remember what section it was, but my friend of mine, Eric from Big E, snuck into his RV and slept on his couch. I thought that I set my alarm for day two. I did not. So at 10 of 6, he's punching me in my leg, saying, "Dude, are you going to get up and cook today?" I was completely confused, had no idea where I was at. I popped up, ran down to my site, got my pits lit. Only about 10 minutes. I got my meat on about 10 minutes later than what I normally do. But it really didn't settle in. I was definitely a little. I was all over the place, and until I had my cup of coffee and, and a couple glasses of water, I kind of figured it out, and then it was business as usual.
Did you think about turning around to win the Open, or were you just going to take part in it?
No, I mean, you really don't. I mean, the chances, I mean, you'd love to see some Vegas odds on something like that. So, no, hell no. We talked to my wife that morning, and I was like, I mean, what's the expectation? I mean, you want to do well, but top 100 in a huge field like this would be awesome. But we after day one, I mean, my buddy and I, Jesse, were looking at you. He agreed the chicken was much better, even though it didn't score as well. But ribs were spot on, and everything else, it was the same pork box and the same brisket box that I put in with a little help from very, very kind tables. I mean, you never know, but no, we were ready to pack up and go. We were tired. We were very tired during awards. I mean, I think I almost fell asleep for about 5 minutes there. But yeah, after that final call, it was unbelievable, and I still can't believe it actually happened.
So you get that final call, you hear QU as the overall grand champion, and now you've just come off of a huge grand champion win the day before on the Invitational side. So we're going to have a bunch of ridiculous questions that you're going to have to answer, of course. But what is the feeling to know that you've won both ends of the American Royal, which, by the way, nobody's ever done that. You're the first one.
No, exactly. I mean, I called my wife first thing. Well, she was streaming it, so she knew what happened. I was calling my boss, my best friend of 16 years. I was calling a lot of people, and it kind of set in, driving. We left there and headed up to Des Moines, and we slept overnight. But that ride home that next morning, my head was just it was like a balloon. It was crazy. I couldn't get my thoughts together. I couldn't focus. But in the back of my head, though, to be honest with you, I had a busy week at work, and I didn't want to put that on the back burner and not execute what I need to get done for my job. So it was still in the back of my head that I need to get home and get some stuff done for work. And so I have a busy month. So it was amazing, and I hope I'm going to ride this as long as it takes me. But you can't express it in words.
So the Invitational pays $12,000. What does the Open pay to win?
That was 15.
15. All right. So I'm no math major, but currently we're sitting at 27,000 for winnings on the weekend. Did any of and you got 180s and did you say brisket and pork on the Invitational day?
Brisket, pork, and ribs.
And ribs. Those pay too?
I to be honest, I feel horrible saying this. I don't know. They could hear me say that and not send me a check, but I think I don't see why they wouldn't. But
yeah.
No, yeah. So yeah, it was a big weekend.
All right. Well, let's assume those pay, and let's just round up your winnings to, let's say, $30,000 for the weekend. And it could be more than that, I would imagine, once you get the final checks and all that stuff. So that's a big weekend. But what I like to do at times like these, when they hear a guy come in and say, yeah, rolled in 30 grand later and 2 GCs later, I'm rolling back home. And people think that this is something you would just string together every weekend. And, you do 5, 6, 7 contests and you're making $250,000 a year just on barbecue. Where does that winning offset all the money you've spent on barbecue this year? Are you even? Are you still now in the black because of that weekend, or what?
Oh, no, it's gone. I stopped at some local casino in Des Moines and put it on red.
Right.
Yeah.
Put it all on red.
Yep. I'm a
Oh,
degenerate. So no, seriously. I mean, it's doing 10 competitions and entry fees and whatnot. I mean, a lot of
yeah.
people, they don't do it for the money. But we've broken even before we got into for entry fees and then some gas and this not. But no, I mean, you can't put 30. I mean, that's insane. You don't come into a season of competition barbecue thinking that you're gonna, make 30 grand in a weekend.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen.
How do you compare being the invitational winner and the open winner? Which one, if you had to give one back, which one are you giving back and why?
It's a kind of crazy question. I feel like I want to give one of those Yetis to my buddy that came out with me, and he just kind of hung out, run some boxes. It was great company. I mean, we see each other every day, and it was awesome having him with me. So I'm gonna give him one of the Yetis, and I was like, which one should I give him? Should I give him the Invitation or the Open? I think I'm gonna get. It's a really hard question. We might just flip a coin, but I don't know. I mean, you have to look at the field. 500, people compared to 250. That's a really, really good question. And I don't think I have an honest answer, to be honest.
I don't know if this helps sway you, but I've asked a number of the, Darren, Tuffy, Mike Davis, maybe you probably don't even know that name, but there's a number of guys that have won this event on either side that I've had on the 16 years that I've done my show, and I've always asked them, well, if you could give away the Invitational because you won it and you could take the Open, would you, or the other way around? And I would say 85 to 90% of those people say they would rather take the Open because of the sheer amount of teams. And even though you could argumentatively say the Invitational side has a more experienced and competitive field because they are all winners, but for whatever reason, the attraction of 500, 600, 700 teams and being the king of all those appeals to 90% or so of the pitmasters I've asked. Does that help you make a decision?
No, I get it. It's a great question. It's one that you consider. You hear people talking about the Invitational or the Open at the Royal, but dude, to be honest with you, I have no idea. They are both special cooks, and I don't know. It's a great question, but I can't. It's like, I don't have a good answer. I'm sorry.
So let's make it even more difficult at this point.
Good. Let's do it.
This coming weekend, which you aren't taking part in, is the Jack Daniels.
I'm not taking part in this weekend.
Correct.
Okay.
So
awesome. Understood you.
If you could trade away the grand for both the Open and Invitational and be assured a grand championship winning the Jack Daniels in 2022, would you trade both of those away for a Jack win?
I have no idea. I've never even thought about it until you just said that. Jack, Royal. No, I don't think so, man.
How do you not think like this? This is crazy.
I don't know. It was the first time I was even at the Royal this weekend, and I loved past weekend. I loved every second. I feel obligated. I have to continue going out there, and I will.
Sure,
I will go out there every year.
Well, you got to go back at least next year to defend both titles.
Yeah, right. Defend them. Yeah, like they're mine. Yeah. So I don't know. The Jack, I'm really looking forward to it. Next year doing it. I'm really looking forward to the Houston cook, which I have no idea about. I got to do some research on that.
Yeah.
But no, man. I mean, those two at the Royal in the same weekend. That's pretty special.
Do you revere the Jack like some of these other teams do? I don't.
No, I to be honest with you, I know because I've talked to Johnny Trigg about it. I know he's won it twice, and he loves that competition. He speaks very highly of it, and I've seen previous winners, and everybody I've talked to that's been there. It's great. It's amazing. I can't wait to experience it and kind of make it my own judgment. So that's what we're looking at. We're really looking forward to doing it next year.
What else are you up to?
I cook. I cook a lot. We do a Monday through Friday gig. I do some stuff on the weekend. I do some stuff, some events at night. I cook hard, and that's pretty much all my life is. I do have a 1.5-year-old, an awesome, beautiful wife. So we kind of balance that, but it's it's easy to balance these days, working a Monday through Friday job. You get your nights off, but that's about it. I cook and I enjoy doing competitions. I didn't think that I was going to go do the Invitational in Alabama. I had no interest in it, but a buddy of mine, Rich from
Why did you have no interest in it?
I'm just a little burned out right now with cooking. You know what I mean? It's just like it's a far drive. I love the Invitational. I've done it twice. It's an awesome competition, but it's been a really tough year for me. We've done 10 competitions, but I've been busier than hell, and I'm enjoying football weekends in the fall, and just thinking about getting in the truck and leaving my folks or my family for a little bit, getting down there. But then Rich from IBQ, and he's like, dude, you have to do it. You are on a hot streak. So he pretty much sold me on that. So I signed up, and I'm going to head down there. Screw it.
When you're working during the week and doing the, let's call it traditional chefing, I remember speaking with Tuffy Stone 100 years ago, and he said, I'm a classically trained French chef, blah, 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 and I thought I could get into this competition barbecue thing and start whipping everybody's ass pretty quick. And he had found out pretty quickly that wasn't going to be the case, so he went back to the classroom and obviously has become one of the most respected and successful folks in competition barbecue. As somebody who's within that same ilk during the day or the day job, do you find that your cooking skills transfer well to competition barbecue, and how much can you pull from what you do during the day to what you would do on the weekend?
Oh, I think it's a back and forth thing. I think coming into first competitions, I was nervous as putting up a wedding for 350. I mean, my hands were shaking, putting chicken in the box. I just wanted to do well. I wanted to hit everything. I didn't know anything. I knew nothing about flavor profiles or tenderness or anything like that in my first couple competitions. I knew how, being a chef, I knew how to be organized. I knew how to have my mise en place, my prep, everything. I mean, the first competition we did, I didn't know you could come with trim meat. So I was trimming meat in 100-degree weather in McHenry, Illinois, under an easy up. So I learned quick with that. So I do have a good opportunity to prep my proteins in a professional kitchen. Like I said, you stay organized. You have your mise en place. You have your prep. But as far as what I've learned in the barbecue world, I think that's translated better of what I'm doing now. I think I've picked up more with fabricating meats, with seasonings and injections. I feel like I've learned more on the barbecue circuit, brought it into my everyday work, and I learn things every day from other cooks. I think it's benefited both ways, but I feel like I've gained more out in the field cooking barbecue and bringing it back to my everyday job.
Grant, 2 questions before I let you go, and I appreciate the time here. What is one thing you would like to see KCBS improve on?
KCBS improve on? I don't know. I mean, is that I don't know. It's a good question, but I really don't have an answer. I'm very lucky that I like to do the 10 to 12 that we do. Very lucky that they're within 4 or 5 hours of where I live. Very fortunate that they threw. I don't know. Nothing really. I mean, I'm sure some other people that have been with KCBS for 20 plus 25 years or whatnot have a different answer, but I really don't.
What do you think one of their best attributes are?
They're, I don't know. I guess, their web page is, I don't know. I don't have an answer. I think it's smooth. Dude, it's smooth sailing for me. I sign up and I head in there. And the biggest issue that I had with the Invitational, they wanted a picture of a logo or something. I didn't have one, so I just took a picture of my face. But no, I don't have any issue. I think it's pretty easy, and I go about it and I do it like like anybody else.
He is the 2022 American Royal Invitational Grand Champion and the American Royal Open Grand Champion. First one to ever do it, breaking it all down, reliving the week, getting a little background. And he doesn't know one way or the other how he feels about KCBS, and that's what we love. Everything's good. Is there anything bad? We don't know, but we're happy where we're at, and we'll go from there. And next year, everybody be on the lookout in Lynchburg, because he's going to be looking to get down there to Tennessee Grant, if you need some insider's info on Houston livestock, just give me a call offline and I'll hook you up with some world champions to give you the old hip. Or you can, just talk to your buddy Darren there. He's kind of won that thing too, so I'm sure he can hip you to all that other stuff. But in the meantime, I appreciate the conversation here this evening. I wish you continued success and appreciate you coming on the show to break it down tonight.
Awesome, man. This is great. I'm glad you had me on.
There he is, the American Royal Open and Invitational winner, all in the same year. First time this ever happened. Grant Basilere, congratulations. Live it up and come back to defend those titles in 2023. As I said a couple minutes ago, watch out for those going to the Jack in 2023. He's making plans to get down there as well. Big show tomorrow. Meathead will be in. Robert Moss will be in. Aaron Huntelman from Go Big or Go Barbecue will be in. Also, Ryan Zabril of Pits and Spits. So stay tuned for the latest live edition tomorrow. Get all the podcasts if you can't tune into it live. Wednesdays, Thursdays, and a best of on Fridays. And until Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, this is your program host and proud U.S. American Greg Rempe. We'll talk to you later.
Hi, this is Jeff Stone of Grandpa's Pride Barbecue from the Panhandle of Florida, and you are listening to the Barbecue Central Show.